Two old keys. Sounds like the last thing you'd use to build a welding machine, right? But to me, every forgotten object has a story, it just needs someone willing to listen. One night, while cleaning my toolbox, I found two rusty keys buried under scraps of metal. I held them in my hand and thought, could I give these a second life, in a completely different way? That small question led to long hours of tinkering, cutting, wiring, sparks flying late into the night. And somehow, those two keys became the core of a working mini welding machine. In this video I'll take you through that journey, step by step, sharing every trick and idea along the way. If you love making things, if you believe creativity can turn anything into something, stay with me. Because maybe your next great idea is already lying somewhere in your toolbox. In my hand, I've got a bolt with a threaded section a little over 10 centimeters long. Along with it, two metal washers and a single nut. Now we're going to slide two keys in between, secure them with the washers and the nut, and that forms one solid piece. The two keys will act as holders for the welding tip, while the bolt itself becomes the handle. Next, I've got a single electrical wire. For this step, we'll connect one end of the wire to the threaded part of the bolt. The idea is to let the current and the heat travel up toward the welding tip. When tightening the connection, make sure the wire is pressed firmly against the metal. Even a slightly loose contact can reduce the heat transfer right away. Now, to keep the connection from coming loose, I'll wrap a bit of electrical tape around the joint. This keeps everything tight and prevents the wire from slipping or shorting out later on. You don't need to overdo it, just a clean, firm wrap is enough. Of course, we can't hold the threaded part of the bolt directly. When the welder's running, that section will carry heat and electricity. So, I'm going to mount the threaded end inside a piece of PVC pipe. That way it's insulated and much safer. Plus, it feels better in the hand when you're working. To keep the threaded part tight inside the PVC pipe, I'll wrap a bit of tissue paper around the threads of the bolt. Just keep wrapping until it fits snugly, tight enough so it slides firmly into the pipe without wobbling. Once the tissue is wrapped nice and snug, I'll add a few drops of glue right on that spot, just enough to make it stick firmly inside the PVC pipe. You don't need much, just a thin layer. When it dries, the handle will stay solid and won't twist or loosen. It's a simple fix, clean, strong, and easy to control. With the other end of this wire, I'm going to attach a crocodile clip. This clip will connect to the positive terminal of the power source, allowing the current to flow straight to the welding tip we assembled earlier. Make sure the contact point is tight and clean. A loose connection can make the spark weak or unstable. For the welding tip, I'm going to use the carbon rod from an old AA battery. It's a simple trick but surprisingly effective. The carbon core can handle very high temperatures and conducts electricity steadily. When it's heated to its limit, it glows red hot. perfect for melting solder or joining small metal pieces. So using a battery core as a welding tip just makes sense. It's cheap, easy to find, and works far better than you'd expect. Since the carbon rod is quite brittle, when clamping it between the two keys, you'll want to use just enough pressure to hold it in place. If you tighten too much, the carbon will crumble instantly, and you'll have to start over. So just keep it snug, firm but gentle. With materials like this, a light touch often lasts longer than brute force. Since we already have one side connected to the positive terminal of the power source, we can't forget the negative side, because a proper circuit only works when both poles are complete. So here I'm using another wire, and attaching a crocodile clip on each end. One clip will connect to the negative terminal, and the other will be clipped onto the piece we want to weld. That gives us a full circuit. Positive current flows to the welding tip, negative through the metal, and when they meet, that's where the heat is born. Here I've got a small battery, and its specs are just right for our setup. It delivers enough voltage and current to keep the welding tip steady, not too weak but not so strong that it overheats. For builds like this, a modest power source is ideal. Safe, reliable, and easy to control while testing. In the next part, I'll stay silent and run 3 small tests. I want you to watch and decide for yourself. Everyone sees things differently. Sometimes what you see says more than any words. After those 3 small tests, what do you think? For me, I'd say that's a success already. With just a few simple items, some creativity, and patience, we've made a working mini welder, showing that everyday objects can become useful tools. Personally, I find experiments like this really exciting. You get to observe, tinker, and gain confidence in your small creations. If you're inspired, try it at home. And don't forget to share your results. ask questions, or leave your own ideas in the comments. Hit like if you found this helpful. And subscribe so you don't miss the next creative project. Thanks for watching and see you in the next fun experiment.